Dr. Morgan, your host here, and welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. I am so excited about this episode. I'm back in my home studio. I love it. There's nothing like being in my house with my mic and just nobody is home, no distractions. I'm here. It's a beautiful, sunny day, and I'm recording this episode for you. And I thought about what would be really helpful for someone who's struggling in their dating journey, who's struggling with finding their person, right? I actually had someone the other day, they said, "Oh, congrats on finally finding your person," because I'm engaged. And I'm going to be honest, that doesn't really feel accurate. It wasn't like that's what I had to do. It wasn't about finding a person. I actually have had no trouble finding people. I'm sure a lot of you relate to this. It's like I had plenty of people to date. There was plenty of options. It wasn't about finding someone. It was about becoming the version of me who could attract a emotionally available partner and who could maintain a healthy relationship. I have been in a relationship for a large part of my life. It's not like I had trouble finding relationships. What I could never get right in the past was attracting a partner that I could maintain a healthy, loving, safe, emotionally available relationship with. So I think instead of saying congrats on finding your person, I need people to say, congrats on becoming the version of you who could be securely attached and attract the kind of relationship you deserve. I'm just kind of kidding, but really, I thought about it. I'm like, that's actually more accurate. It wasn't finding someone, it was becoming the securely attached version of me. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I just every time I talk to people about their dating lives, and this is people I meet or when I'm, out at a coffee shop. I was at a coffee shop in Encinitas recently, and I can overhear things, okay? And of course, I remember it wasn't that long ago for me, what it was like being on the dating scene. And I hear people say, "Oh, I'm so frustrated. I'm so annoyed. There's no good people out there," right? Like, I hate showing up in my dating life. I've had these experiences where someone is nothing like they say they're going to be, and then I meet them and I feel completely tricked. Like, there's a lot of negative mindset around the dating process. So I want to tell you, if I was you, if I was in a place where I was really frustrated with my dating life and I was struggling with having a relationship that could last, with finding someone that I even wanted to invest time with, finding somebody where I go, "Oh yeah, this is worth my time. This is worth the energy investment." If I was like not even getting past date 3, I'm worn out by the dating apps, I'm noticing all of these negative thoughts about dating, this is exactly what I would do. Okay? And I'm going to walk you through it. The first thing you need to do is acknowledge that what you are doing is not working. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We have to get to that place where we accept, okay, my current approach is not working. For some of you, that's actually the approach that you're just completely staying out of the dating scene. I met someone the other day who said, "Yeah, I really want to be married. I really want to have a family. I really, I want to have kids, but I haven't dated anyone in 10 years." And I have so much love and compassion for that person because I know what that's like, right? And I'm going, that approach is not working for you, honey. Okay. So maybe you're someone, maybe it hasn't been 10 years. Maybe it's been 2, maybe it's been 3, maybe it's been 5. I don't care. If you have been out of really actually dating someone for years, but your goal is, I want to have a healthy long-term relationship, I want a family, clearly we need to change up the approach, because not being in the dating scene is not going to work for you either. So whether you've been attracted to people who are emotionally unavailable, maybe you've had a string of dating only narcissists. I meet people where that's the case. Or maybe you haven't been dating at all. Or maybe you are dating, you're trying, and for whatever reason, you are not attracting the kind of people that you know you'd want to build a long-term relationship with. Whatever the case is, we have to get to this place of acceptance that what I am doing is not getting me the results that I want. And I love this because when we get to that place, it's radical acceptance and it's ownership. And we can start to say, oh, the good news about that is that I can change. There's a lot of things I can't control, but I can control how am I showing up in my dating life, right? You can actually change. So I want you to take a deep breath if that's you and say, if I'm accepting that what I am doing isn't working, sure, there's some pain in that, there's frustration, but there's also so much empowerment that, hey, I am part of this equation. I am the common denominator. If I change and I change how I'm showing up, then my results can change. Okay. So that's the first step. We have to take radical acceptance, radical ownership that what we're doing right now isn't working. And then the next thing, step 2, I highly recommend this. I need you to take a break. I need you to take a dating break. I've coached people in the past many times where during our first meeting, they'll say to me, okay, Dr. Morgan, I feel like I need to take a dating break. And they'll kind of be like, will you please give me permission to do that? Or will you tell me that I need to do it? I've had some people where they're like, I need you to tell me to take a dating break. And I go, of course, of course. I want you to take a dating break. If you're not getting the results, we do need to step back. And there's nothing wrong with stepping back. We can get into trouble if we're stepping back for way too long. Like I mentioned, people who haven't been dating for years. But of course, I want you to take a dating break. Now, here's the important thing. It's what you do during that time. Because a lot of you, maybe you've taken a break from dating, but you haven't done the work that was needed to actually then show up differently the next time. So it's like you're taking a break, but then you're just getting right back in to, for some reason, I'm thinking of the boxing ring as dating. You're getting right back into the boxing ring and you're still not trained and you don't have gloves and you're just going to get beat up again, right? Because that's sometimes what dating can feel like. It can feel like you're in a boxing ring, you don't have gloves, you're just getting the shit kicked out of you over and over again, right? Like it can feel like that. So when you take a break, but you don't intentionally do anything to show up differently, that's what you're doing. You're just signing up to step right back in the ring and get beat up again until you go, okay, I need to sit down. And then eventually you'll take another break and you'll do that over and over and over. And maybe eventually you'll give up altogether, or you'll settle for someone who really isn't good for you or who isn't really what you want. And then you're stuck with that. So I don't want any of that for you. So that's why we have step number 3, right? Where we have to intentionally do the work to rewire our brains for healthy love. There's so much that goes into this. And obviously, if this is resonating with you and you're going, yep, okay, tough love, Dr. Morgan, but I know I need that. It's time. Maybe you've been on the fence, right? But you know you need it. Like this is what we do inside of the Empowered, Secure, Loved program. But I can tell you, it's not enough to just logically know, oh, I should be showing up in a healthy way. I should be attracted to emotionally available men. Like when I was in my toxic dating periods, I knew I knew that the people that I was dating were not the right people for me. Like, I desperately emotionally wanted them to choose me, but I knew that they weren't choosing me. I was driving around in San Diego. This was like months and months ago, but I remember I drove by the house of someone who I had dated when I lived in San Diego, and I was having this vivid memory. This was a guy, like, checked all my boxes, amazing career, tall, dark, handsome, all the things, okay? And I remember going over to his house and he would be playing video games. Like, I would be there to see him because we had planned to hang out. And he would be playing like Call of Duty or some basketball game. I don't even know. And I remember like sitting, watching him play these games and kind of begging him, like, hey, we said we were going to go get lunch. Like, I'm hungry. And I would sit there for hours and wait for this man, this grown adult man who clearly did not have emotional capacity, because this was not like this happened over and over, okay? And he would blow off dates in the last minute and all the classic signs of emotionally unavailable. But I would go and waste my freaking time watching this man play video games. Clearly, I knew this was not someone who had capacity for me. This was not someone who could actually build a relationship with me, but I had unfinished business from childhood. I was engaging in repetition compulsion. I desperately wanted this person to choose me. So I stayed, right? I stayed in the relationship. And it wasn't enough for me to just know logically, like, of course, if I saw my friend being treated this way, I'd be like, hey, you need to break up with this dude. This is not going to work. I knew it logically, but it didn't translate to how I felt emotionally, and it didn't translate to my actions, right? So sometimes I need you to realize this. It's like, it's not what you know, it's what is your attachment system wired for? What is your brain wired for? And it's not your fault. I think sometimes we beat ourselves up so much because we're like, hey, I knew this guy was an asshole, or I knew that I deserved better. And it's like, I know you knew, honey. I knew too. Okay. It's not about what we know. It's about what is our attachment system wired for? What is your brain wired for? And just like you would go to the doctor to have surgery, I'm so not medical, so I don't even know what to say here, but some kind of operation on your heart. Let's say you had, I don't know, a valve that wasn't functioning properly, and you needed to have an operation to make sure that your blood could be pumped properly throughout your body, okay? And this was a necessary operation so that you could live a long and healthy life and your body could be operating well. That's the same thing that I do with people, where I help them rewire their brains so that your brain can function well, so that it can support you in being attracted to healthy, emotionally available partners, where you can then easily build and maintain a healthy long-term relationship. So just the way that you would do something for your body to function properly, for a lot of us, based on past relationship experiences, relational trauma that we've experienced, we have to intentionally rewire our brains and our attachment systems so we can show up securely attached. And if we don't, what happens? We simply develop more relational trauma. We simply have things that become even more hardwired in our brain. And I think it's important to realize that even if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm in my 50s or I'm in my 60s or even I'm in my 70s and I have all this relational trauma, here's what we know about the brain. There is neuroplasticity. you can always rewire your brain. We can always create new neural pathways, new ways of being in relationships, new beliefs about relationships. You can always, always, always rewire your brain. Okay. So that's what I would do if I was really struggling. I would take those 3 steps. And I want to be totally honest with you that if you're trying to do step number 3 by yourself, it's not going to happen. You can do all the podcasts, all the books, all the things, but until you actually get support and you have a coach, right? Or you have a therapist, until you actually do the work and you have a framework and you're working through it, it's not going to work at the depth that it needs to work, because we as humans, we avoid pain. We avoid looking at our past relational trauma. We avoid going to the depths that we need to go to in order to change, unless we have support, we have accountability, and we have a proven structure. Okay? If you don't have those things, you won't be able to do the work deeply enough to actually change. And you all know I love therapy. I'm a clinical psychologist. I have my diploma over there. Sometimes I think I need to show that to you all because I have people, they're like, you're a coach. And it's like, yes, I am a coach because I wanted to help as many people as possible. But I also have a doctorate in clinical psychology, and I've done all kinds of research and attachment styles, et cetera, et cetera. But I love clinical psychology. I feel like I always have to say that. I think it has such a place in our healing journey. And some of what's missing is there's really not enough therapists who are trained in how do we actually rewire the brain for healthy relationships specifically. This is such a niche area. Not everyone actually researches attachment styles. Not everyone researches beliefs about relationships. I don't know about you, but if you've ever sat across from a therapist who just didn't really get your relationship struggles, I know I've been there in the past where it was like, clearly this person must have had a really securely attached childhood and they've had easy relationships. And I'd be explaining what was happening. And it was like, they were like, well, just break up with the guy. Or they just wouldn't really get it. And I want you to know, and sure, there are therapists that do get it, but the specificity and the niched down that I have done inside of the program is actually incredibly rare. And you're just not going to find that in traditional therapy. I think therapy is great for support. I think it's an awesome place for support and for being able to process and to really talk about your childhood in depth and to have that open container, safe container, right? Where you can really just share anything and everything. It's a wonderful place for that. But to really intentionally go to the depths of rewiring your brain and becoming securely attached, I feel that you need a proven framework and a step-by-step process that you can move through. So whether it's myself or whoever, I just want you to know you deserve support. You deserve to invest in yourself, just like you would if you had a health issue. You would take care of it. You would invest in yourself. You deserve to do that for your attachment system, because once you fix it, this is the awesome part. Once you can become securely attached, what happens? Your dating life gets really fun and easy and enjoyable, and you get to build a relationship that hey, I can show up well in this. I trust myself to show up really well. I trust myself to show up really securely attached. And you just get to have this feeling of ease and peace and you are attracted to different kinds of people. When I became securely attached, who I was attracted to changed. Thank God for that. If you're anything like me, and I think about my dating history, and it's like, wow, I really needed to change who I was attracted to. And that makes a world of difference. So if you're listening to this, obviously, I would encourage you, go apply to the Empowered Secure Love program. We do have an incredible offer right now in June, our 444 abundance offer, because we've had over 444 episodes, and we've had over 4 years of the Empowered Secure Love program. So you're getting 4 incredible bonuses when you sign up for the program this month. Go check it out. You can apply using the link in the show notes. It's a super easy process. It takes like 5 minutes. And I just want to encourage you. I want to really wrap this up by saying you get to have the kind of relationship you've always wanted. You do get to have someone who feels like a true partner, not someone where you're chasing them, where you don't feel chosen, where you don't feel like a priority, not someone who needs you to do all of the emotional labor in the relationship. You get to intentionally co-create secure attachment with someone who wants to be in a relationship with you, who values you, who values your relationship, who wants to show up and choose you every day. Does this mean that you're in a relationship that doesn't have conflict? No. And if you've heard me talk about this, you know that conflict is actually healthy. We want relationships where we're experiencing some conflict. All that means is that you're close, that you have intimacy. If there's no conflict, then you've grown apart, right? So you get to have the kind of relationship that gets stronger when there's conflict. And you, most importantly, you get to become the kind of person who has high self-worth, who is confident, who trusts herself, who can lean into her gut feelings and know, hey, that is my actual inner knowing. It's not a fight or flight response. It's not a dysregulated attachment style response. It is my securely attached, deep inner knowing, and I can trust it. And when you have that kind of self-trust, yes, it makes your relationships amazing, but it also impacts every single area of your life, your friendships, your work life, your ability to design the kind of life you've always wanted, whether it's travel or starting a new business or building your dream home or creating generational wealth. I don't care what it is. When you have self-trust, everything starts to fall into place. And I think that's the beautiful thing about the work I get to do with clients is it's not really just about finding their person, although I love that. And I love seeing all the engagements and the weddings that are happening. It's like every day I get a new message from a client who's happily engaged or getting married or having a baby. I mean, yes, that is amazing, but it's also about the relationship you build with yourself, who you become. And I think what's so cool, it's like you just realize, oh, when I heal, when I let go of my past relational trauma, I become a version of me that I love, that I'm proud of, that I can care for. You learn how to actually care for yourself. You become your own highly attuned, emotionally available, ideal parent. You become that for yourself. And then bringing a relationship in, it's an amazing bonus. It's awesome. It adds a ton of value to your life, but you don't have this neediness. You're not clinging to it. And that's what gets to make it so good and so, oh, what's the word? Peaceful. And you can really relax into it. As I started to become securely attached, I started to realize, oh, you're supposed to be able to relax in love, to let your walls down, to be seen at a deeper level, right? To be seen at a deeper level, to relax in love. And then that's when we can reach those deeper levels of connection, deeper levels of intimacy, more vulnerability. And that's really the richness of becoming securely attached, is you get to have that kind of relationship that deepens over time, and you don't have a neediness about it. You don't need it. It's not the thing that determines your self-worth, but it is a beautiful part of your life that adds so much value, and you're grateful for it. You're grateful for it with an open palm. You're not squeezing it. You're not trying to control. You're not anxiously spiraling about the future. You're not putting your walls up all the time. You're able to relax and be there and take care of yourself while intentionally investing in the relationship. Okay, I just went on a rant about secure love, but I think it's really important because when I was struggling in my relationships, and I don't know why this gets me emotional, but like this is the truth. When I was really struggling, I just didn't know. I didn't know what secure attachment was like. I didn't experience it. I never witnessed it. And I really would have benefited from this type of podcast where somebody was saying like, hey, this is what it is. And I really needed that hope because I didn't think it was available to me. I just really never thought it would happen. I didn't know what it was and I didn't think it would happen. So that's why I try to talk about it and just let you all know like this is what it can be, because that's what you deserve. You really deserve it. Each and every one of you. If you're listening to this and you're going, yeah, but Dr. Morgan, you don't know. I've been divorced twice. Had all this childhood trauma. Whatever story you have in your mind, okay, about why it's not possible for you, I want you to know it is possible. It is 100% possible for you. I know it is. And I know it is because I have helped so many people. I mean, I'm over 650 people have gone through this program, and I know it's possible. And I always say, I was my first client. And if I can rewire my brain and have a healthy, secure, loving relationship, then trust me, you can too. You can too. You are not too broken. It's not too much. You don't have too much trauma. It's so possible for you. Okay. So if this resonated with you today, make sure you apply to the program using the link in the show notes. And of course, as always, I'm wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon.